and I'm pressing the button now to go live on Facebook. And I'm hoping that Katie is going to tell me if we're not live. Share to a page you manage, Albany Family Practice, just so I don't go live on my own Facebook. So you'll see at the top left hand corner, it should say preparing, live preparing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got that?
Yeah.
And then it should tell us that we're live at some point.
Mine just says recording.
Ah, mine says recording.
Oh, there we go.
Meeting is now streaming live. Deep breaths, kids, deep breaths. So thank you everybody who's joined us this morning, or we're just actually a minute late, so it's this afternoon. I'm joined today by Alan Booth and by Gaynor Smith. Alan is one of our wonderful practice health champions, and Alan also has a condition called, we call it COPD. The full name for it is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. So Alan's going to talk to us about that, and Gaynor's going to give us the kind of practice side of it and how we support our patients. But there's going to be a stream, a kind of thread going through the whole session, and that's really about smoking. And as an ex-smoker myself, one of the things I used to be very good at was smoking. In fact, I'd probably say I was a professional for a period of my life.
Join the club.
Yeah. It certainly was a difficult thing to give up, so I have empathy with all of our patients that are struggling. So Alan, we'll start with you if that's all right. When did you start smoking?
Far too young and far too soon. That's the short answer. Well, the long answer is that basically it was peer pressure, and I started smoking properly when I was 16, when I left school and went to college. But I suppose I was a passive smoker for quite some time before that, because my mum and dad smoked, so they were heavy smokers. And we got a television when the Granada started. That was in the mid-1950s. Up until then, I used to play out, come in and go to bed. And when we got this television, of course, everybody crowded round it. My mum was busy with the Coronation Street and everything else, and we all sat there and they were puffing away. And I was a passive smoker then, wasn't I? Yeah. Not realising it, it didn't bother me. But I tried cigarettes between sort of before leaving school, and I didn't like them. But the other kids at the school, they used to go smoking around the back of the bike sheds and, come on, Boo, they have a go. No, I didn't bother. I just kept myself to myself. But then when I went to college, it was in the 60s, and it was the sort of the in thing to do, because this flower power was coming from America, and LSD and magic mushrooms and cannabis and cigarettes and swinging 60s. And if you didn't do something, you weren't one of the crowd. So I took up smoking, and the first few cigarettes I smoked, I thought they were bloody awful. The taste in your mouth, the stink, but you persevered with it.
You did.
Because you know, you wanted to be one of the crowd.
Yeah.
I reckon I'm lucky that I didn't combine it with the weed, with the cannabis, because a lot did. And I've noticed over the years, my contemporaries that did not only the cigarettes but did the cannabis as well, they've not only got short of breath like me, they're also going to be a bloody loop-de-loop. They get paranoid. So
yeah, I mean,
to some degree.
Yeah, Rod, our wellbeing advisor, certainly speaks to some of our patients that are addicted to more than nicotine. And if any of our patients were thinking that, you know, they wanted help getting off any other substance, they could certainly make an appointment to come and see Rod. So thinking about that peer pressure, Alan, as I say, I'm an ex-smoker, and I remember the you know, you have to cough a few times, don't you, before you get used to it, and you can.
Oh yeah, we're just on that coughing point.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, before I started smoking properly, all people got was a cough. That's all smoking did. It give you a bit of a cough. And in Hyde, where I live, we used to have a special shop called Nightingale's Toffee Shop. and Godly Rock. And his motto outside his shop was, this Godly Rock was like to stop you coughing. And he used to have a sign outside of his shop. It said, "It's not the cough that carries you off, it's the coughing they carry you off in." Buy Nightingale's Godly Rock to stop you coughing.
Really? So don't stop smoking, just buy something else. So I remember my first job. I was the wonder of Woolworths in Congleton. I worked in Woolworths, and I remember being on the till, and this was, I think, probably before I was a full-time smoker. And I remember a bloke with a little tiny roll-up, and he pulled it out of his mouth and put it on my till while he paid for his pick and mix. So things were just completely different than they are now. It was as normal as having a cup of tea, wasn't it, Alan? It was.
Absolutely, yeah. I can remember. It was a thing to do. It was advertised on the television, on the advert, smoking. Oh yeah, you've got a bit. It's that,
Yeah.
One thing that really impresses me is how normal it was you go out pub smoking, cinemas smoking. In fact, in a cinema you could see the smoke rising. You had to sort of see through it to see the screen. But I got involved in a road accident in the late 60s, and I was unconscious for a short time. And I got taken to hospital. Police and the ambulance said, "Oh, you must go to hospital and have a checkup." And I've been working hard. It was Saturday lunchtime. I've been working early hours. Anyway, they carted me off to the hospital, put me in this emergency ward, and I'm asleep now. I just about nodded off and get wakened up for observations. So anyway, got off to sleep again. This happened a few times. Anyway, I got a bit fed up with this. So I thought I'll have a cig. And on my cabinet was my cigarettes and my lighter and even an ashtray. And you could smoke in the hospitals in those days. So I sat on the edge of my bed and had this cig.
Gee.
And I'm halfway through it when down the ward comes this prancing, this male nurse, and in a very effeminate voice he says, "Oh my God, head cases are not supposed to smoke. Put that cigarette away immediately." I thought, bloody hell. Because remember, being gay in those days was illegal. So I thought, I've got to get out of here. There's no way I'm going to sleep in this place. So I rang my dad up after much trouble getting to the phone to come and collect me. Well, that's how normal it was. But now, how things have changed.
Yeah.
No cigarettes anywhere near hospitals, anywhere at all. But
no.
Being gay is an absolute, well, nobody bothers, do they?
Do they? And so they shouldn't either.
No.
And so did you ever worry during that time that it was an unhealthy habit, or was it just so normal that that it didn't worry you at all?
It didn't worry me. In the first place, it was normal. But it was when sort of my lad started school, and that would be in the 1990s, late 1980s. And of course, they were impressing on kids then because they found out that smoking was really quite dangerous. They had actually found out in the 1950s that smoking was dangerous, but it was never publicised. But they started to impress it on school kids. And they used to come home and say, "You should go over smoking, Dad, you should go over smoking." And of course, then it did sort of start to play on my mind. But it's one of those things that I got to enjoy smoking. And I was not a casual smoker. There are two kinds of smokers. There are smokers who smoke casually and socially. And then there are hardened smokers, and a bit like miles per gallon. So the longer you're out of bed, the more cigarettes you smoke because you smoke a steady stream, so many an hour. And I was one of those kind. And I always used to think, well, yes, I should give up. It won't do me any good, but I'll do it tomorrow. Well, we all know about tomorrow. Yesterday has been and gone. Today is today. Tomorrow never comes.
Yeah.
And I just didn't,
Yeah.
That didn't say I was worried, but I got concerned. But I always just say, well, yeah, I'll just get going. And it was a ritual. Up in the morning, cigarette, tea, off to work.
Yeah.
And I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
It never comes.
Yeah, and I suppose that's like with a lot of things that we know we should do, plenty of us, me included, know we should be slimmer. We know we shouldn't drink as much. We know we shouldn't smoke. And what we're hoping from some of our patients who might still smoke by listening to you today, Alan, is that they'll think today might be the day that I'll have one less, or not have that one straight after my tea.
I can't take that. I think you've got to have it in your head to get rid of them. I'll tell you a little story about my old fella. My old fella lived till he was 98. He was a chain smoker all my younger life, and he used to light one off the end of another. That's a chain smoker. Save matches. And he used to smoke them without filter cigarettes, no filters, plain. And he got shingles. And he was in bed for a fortnight. And one thing he never ever would do would smoke upstairs in the house, in the bedrooms. I did, but he never would. But this is in the 1970s again. And he'd be well into his 60s, early 70s. And he was in bed for a fortnight. Worst patient I'd ever looked after. Because I didn't tell my mother died when I was 17. So it ended up me looking after him. And he come downstairs and he says, "Do you know, Alan?" He said, "I haven't had a cigarette for 2 weeks. I don't think I'll have any more." And he didn't. But he always kept a packet in his pocket. And when he went out with his mates, he'd stand them round, but he wouldn't have one.
Yeah.
Oh, that says it's in the head. Because he said to me, if 6 foot a difference, why did it not bother me when I was upstairs?
Yeah.
Well, so I'm not having any more, and he didn't.
Yeah. It's that routine.
I believe that it's your brain.
Yeah.
You've got to tell yourself, I'm stopping smoking because I don't want to die.
Yeah. And we'll talk to Gaynor in a couple of minutes about how we can help you do that. But I think the biggest battle, isn't it? It's wanting to stop.
Get in there first. Get in. You've got to what you'll not stop unless you want to do. And it's no good thinking, "Oh well, I'll try and please people," and then having one on the quiet. No. Around the side when nobody's looking. Because non-smokers obviously can tell as soon as you come back around the corner, they can smell it.
Yeah. So, when did you start noticing symptoms yourself?
1997.
Okay.
October. Trip to Egypt with the family. And we've been on a felucca on the Nile at Aswan. And we got dropped off. It was lunchtime. We got dropped off at a place called the Old Cataract Hotel. And this is on a steep cliff. And there's all these steps up the side of this steep cliff. And it's about 80 degrees in the shade. So I did all these steps and gets to the top. Well, I couldn't get my breath. I was puffing and panting like an old horse, like quap horse there. Hands on my knees, couldn't get my breath. Wife says to me, "What's wrong?" I said, "Oh, it must be this heat." It was getting to me. So it took me about 20 minutes to get my breath. Anyway, I recovered, finished the holiday off. And then when I got back, I thought, I wonder if I've got heart trouble. I never thought about me smoking.
Yeah.
And I went to see an old Goshi down at the practice. And said, "Oh, this bit of a do in Egypt. I wonder if I've got heart trouble." So he examined. He said, "No." He said, "It's the cigarettes that are doing that. You've got COPD and probably a bit of asthma along with it at the same time. I'll give you something for it." He said, "But you should stop smoking." So I said, "Yeah." I said, "It's not that easy though, is it?" He says, "Well, no. But I used to know this chap called Gosh socially because his kids went learning to swim along with my lad. We used to go to Marina Pool, and of course, we'd stand watching kids swimming while we were smoking." And Glynis, the practice nurse at that time, taught the kids. You remember Glynis?
Yeah, we do.
Died since, but she used to teach kids to swim in those days. And I said to Goshi one day, I said, "When do you think we'll give over smoking after we're both lit up again?" He says, "When we think we're going to die." And he was absolutely right, because that's when I gave up smoking. When I got a chest infection. From a hospital, acquired a chest infection. And I just could not get my breath. And I honestly thought I was dying. And I've not had another cigarette from that day to this.
So, I mean, it's hard for us to talk about our own kind of mortality, isn't it, Alan? And we sit here looking at you now, and you know you've got good colour in you. Yeah, well, you know.
Get my breath.
Are you struggling now?
Well, yeah, yes, it's not easy to do it. I mean, I can talk in short bits, but the longer the talk goes on, the more short of breath I get. And you can see I'm sat hunched, holding myself. I can't sit upright.
Okay.
And if I really get short of breath, I have to stand up.
Yeah.
To arch me back to open up my chest.
So we've got a little call sign. If you put your thumb up to me, that means you're going to stop talking.
I need to stop talking for a bit, yes.
So, you're breathless now. Yeah. What does it mean for your day-to-day life? What does the life of? Sorry, awful.
Awful. It takes me an hour and a half in the morning to get up and have the squaddy wash and get dressed. It probably takes Gaynor about 3 minutes, jump out of bed,
literally,
and off to work. So you can imagine how frustration it is for me to be an hour and a half just having a wash and getting dressed. And then another half an hour sort of get a piece of toast and a cup of tea. Everything I do, I have to pace myself. And I certainly can't do anything in a hurry. If you say to me, do it in a hurry, you might as well forget it. And once I really get short of breath, I've just got to completely stop exactly where I am and do nothing. Because if I don't, I will go downhill so quickly, I would be on my knees and won't be able to get up. And remembering that I used to be a very handy fella, I built my own house, I built a big extension on my own house, handy with tools, all sorts of things like that. Even to pick up a screwdriver now takes me breath.
Yeah.
So basically, getting about, I can do about 3 or 4 steps at a time, and then I'm puffed out. Getting to my car, which is just across the road, across a little narrow road from where I live, it takes me 5 goes. From my kitchen to my front room and lean on the chair near the front door, get me breath. From the front door to the wheelie bins, lean on them and get me breath. Get in my car, sit down in there for about 5 or 10 minutes, get me breath before I started. Once I've started and once I'm sat down, I'm all right. And it's the same procedure getting out again. Get out. Once I've straightened up, I've got to lean on my car and get my breath again. And it's so frustrating because as far as I know, my mind's all right. I mean, other people might have different ideas about me. As far as I think I'm okay. I mean, I enjoy my computer and I've learnt lots of things because I like to keep myself occupied. But it is frustrating.
Yeah.
But no way, if ever I had the chance again, no, because I know that in every other way apart from the short of breath, I'm capable of doing all sorts of things if I have the breath.
Yeah.
Even going down to the things that what I could once do all night long, and would take me all night long to do.
On that note, should we talk to you, Gaynor?
Yes, let's talk to me.
We'll let Alan catch his breath.
Yeah, catch your breath, Alan. Have a sip of coffee.
Right. So, I guess, Gaynor, it's part of your everyday kind of job here at Alvanley to see patients like Alan.
Definitely.
What is COPD?
Yeah, so COPD, it's a name for a group of lung conditions that cause breathing difficulties. So this happens like when the lungs have become inflamed, damaged or narrowed. Mainly the cause is from smoking.
Okay. And you say mainly the cause is smoking.
Yeah.
Are there other things?
So yeah, other causes can be long-term exposure to harmful fumes, dusts from back working in factories, that kind of environment, air pollution, and sometimes it can be genetically as well.
All right. Okay. Okay. So it's different than asthma then?
Yeah, so asthma is classed as a reversible narrowing of the airway. So reversible basically means that once those the airways have become narrow, we can give inhaled therapy to open the airways up. Okay. Whereas with COPD, it's irreversible. So the damage has already been done to the airways. So kind of they'll open, but not as much as they would with reversible.
Okay, so we sometimes book patients in, don't we, for that
Yeah.
reversibility test?
Yes, so that can help diagnose with for asthma and COPD, but those people that do have asthma, it isn't always automatically that they'll then go on to develop COPD.
Is it how well controlled the asthma is that depends on the COPD then?
Lifestyle as well, yeah, lifestyle.
Okay, so when we, you know, I'm an asthmatic,
Yeah,
and I'm quite a well-controlled asthmatic,
good.
and if I get an invitation to my own practice
Mm-hmm.
to go for my appointment, I might think, do you know what? I'm all right. I'm fine. I don't need to go for my
Yeah,
appointment.
yeah.
You
So it's
really
kind of
do, don't you?
it's for management purposes, because you might feel well at that precise moment in time, but then come winter months when triggers set the asthma off, exacerbation. So it's being aware at that time when you're well to prevent exacerbations from happening on the unexpected times.
Okay,
So very
so
important.
so anyone who's listening now who's an asthmatic, if we do nag you
Yeah.
to come for your appointment, we
Yeah.
really are doing it just because.
We want to prevent you from becoming unwell.
Yeah. Okay. And you've said there are other causes other than smoking.
Yeah.
Alan's pretty convinced that his is from smoking, but I suppose years ago people were exposed to things like asbestos, and you said
Massively,
factories
definitely.
and things.
Yeah. So the main cause is the smoking, but again, there is those other the exposure, like I say, the fumes, pollution, can be triggers. Yeah.
I remember Alan telling me that when we had lockdown at first, your breathing got a bit better because the world wasn't as polluted, Alan.
Yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
that many a times, Alan. Yeah.
It was very noticeable, yes, very noticeable. And I mean, I've gone through a lot of pollution in my lifetime. I remember when I was 10, my mother was a manageress, and I wanted to go with her. She was based at Hyde, and I had to manageress a shop in Ashton, which is probably about 3 or 4 miles from Hyde. And I wanted to go to with her, and she wouldn't take me. And I walked it all the way to Ashton, and she chastised me and says, "You get on your way back." And anyway, I started walking back, and it came foggy, and the fog was that thick. I ended up walking back from Ashton with a stream of cars following me, because one of them had said, "Can you walk on the edge of the pavement so we can see you?" And a stream of cars. And when I got back, it was all black around here.
Gosh.
That was the pollution from the smoke. That's when we got the smoke control orders in, and the factories and the house chimneys, and it was black, and the air was yellow, and you couldn't see your hand in front of your face.
Goodness me.
How bad it was, and that would be in the 50s.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when our patients are diagnosed, so they might have had this reversibility test, and that involves blowing into something called a spirometry machine.
Spirometry, so breathing.
So if they're then diagnosed, we'll help them with some medication.
Yeah.
But is there anything else they can do themselves?
Yes. So the most important thing is, if you are a smoker, to stop. Obviously, the damage is already done, but stopping smoking can prevent it from getting any worse. We can then manage, maintain. Regular exercise, safe exercise is great to be doing, maintaining a healthy weight, and get vaccinated. Get your flu jab, get your pneumonia vaccination.
Yeah,
highly important. Yeah.
All really important things. And you just mentioned then exercise, Gaynor.
Yeah.
Our weekly walk is just a mile long, and it is perfect.
So we've had like proven patients, walkers who have had COPD or still have COPD, and they've started walking. We take our time, there's no rush, we go at the slowest pace, and having come 3, 4, 5 weeks, they've seen a massive improvement.
Yeah.
And
the benefit of that, Wednesday, is you're there.
Yeah.
So you can give them
monitor.
You can give them that
support,
reassurance.
definitely.
You go with your backpack on.
My little backpack, my first aid kit, my bottle of water.
Gaynor, if I come, would you promise to give me the kiss of life?
No, behave.
Alan, you promised to behave yourself.
Behave, Alan.
So we're now seeing far more people vaping than smoking.
Yes. So vaping, I mean, short-term use to help you to quit smoking, brilliant. Long-term use, because we don't quite know what's in those vapes, could potentially cause long-term damage, but we don't quite know what. The benefit of the vape short term is you're not inhaling all the toxins that you would find in a cigarette. Yeah, so benefit wise.
So vaping should really be something you use to stop, to help
To stop
you
smoking. Yeah, not to be used as an accessory, to be used years down the line. So to be used for 12 weeks maximum to get you off the cigarettes, no longer than that.
I don't know too much about vaping, but you can get different strengths.
So you can get the nicotine in it, which helps for you to be weaning off. So the weaning off process, the addiction is the nicotine. The benefit to the vape is, like you say, you've not got the tar, you've not got the carbon monoxide, all these thousands of chemicals that you would have in a cigarette. So, but for long-term purpose, definitely, you know, try not to. Yeah.
You know, I think that if we were having this conversation 100 years ago, they'd have been saying the same thing about cigarettes. Oh, you know, they're all right. It's just a bit of a cop, and you know, we don't think it's probably better than some of the other things they were doing. Like I don't know what they might have been doing at that time, but I can't see that any pollution into your lungs is a good thing long term.
No,
pollution.
Yeah,
definitely not. So you don't want to be replacing the cigarettes for long-term vape use. Definitely not.
Okay, so
just stop.
So our kind of professional guidance is 12 weeks.
12 weeks, yes. So an ideal smoking cessation course takes 12 weeks, and we expect no less than 12 weeks. So you need to be committed, and then from them we'll kind of move forward. But yeah, so realistically, when you're setting your planning, your targets, aim for 12 weeks.
Okay. And you use the word cessation. I'd never heard of that word before I came working in general practice.
It's just a nice word for advice.
Yes, to stopping smoking. So that kind of support that you can get, knowing that you're not on your own.
Definitely.
And you know, some of our clinicians have been smokers in the past. You know, some have, you know, it's something that so many of us have struggled with. And I do say to people in my own personal life, I hope you don't mind me saying this, Alan, I do say to them, I could introduce you to somebody that would show you exactly what will happen to you when you're 70 something. Because I think once you've kind of met Alan and other people who we have who have COPD, that to put that link between it and to see that, as Alan says, there's nothing wrong with his brain, there's nothing wrong with his, you know, the will is there, isn't it, Alan?
Absolutely.
But completely kind of devastating your life.
If I didn't have COPD, I'd be bloody dangerous.
Well, we know that as well.
You are with COPD, Alan.
We definitely know that. We definitely know that. So, Gaynor, we've talked about that smoking cessation.
Yes.
So if somebody is watching now, they've got some options. They can think, right, I'm going to give up. Today's the day.
Definitely. So get that in your head. Just ring me. I'm there to support you. I'll ring you back. We can also refer on to ABL, which is called A Better Living, which is based in Stockport. So pre-COVID, they would have done face-to-face. You can do this over the phone with them. They will set up a really good, strict 12-week program for you to suit the individual's needs around work, lifestyle, etc. But the commitment will be from both parties. Again, that can be done that way, or like I say, just you can ring and speak to me. So you can either self-refer, or after contact with myself, I can pop the referral through for you.
Okay, so I'm guessing some of the people that are listening in now are thinking, right, well, it's September, the kids have gone back to school, or it'll soon be Christmas and there'll be Christmas dues, and that's the kind of putting off mentality, isn't it?
You've got to not put it off. You've got to think for today, not for tomorrow.
Yeah, would you agree, Alan?
I would agree, yes. The first thing you've got to do is you've got to get it into your head that you yourself want to give up smoking. Not Kay wants you to give up smoking. Not
do it yourself.
Give up smoking. Not give up smoking because your wife or your kids or anybody. you want to give up smoking, and you are going to do it irrespective of all these other people. And you're not going to do it for them, you're going to do it for yourself, because it's you that's going to die at the end of the day from it. Yes, the other people will suffer in some degree that they won't have you knocking about, but you're the one that's going to die from the smoking. And you've got to get that in your head first. And then, as I say, I believe that cold turkey is the best way. That's what I did. Basically, I stopped smoking and that was it. My father did the same and that was it. And I've seen other people that have done cold turkey, and the majority of them have succeeded. The ones that fiddle about, to my mind, with patches, bloody chewing gum, and all these other things that they get, they're only making a half-hearted attempt at it. I think it's like anything, you've got the grass to nettle.
Yeah.
Because just remember this, life is like a cigarette. Puff, 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 and it's out.
Brilliant.
And you're right, Alan. You're absolutely right. And there's, in my mind, there's no better person to be giving that stopping smoking advice than you, because it matters so much to you and your family. And I think it's really important that you're, and I'm so grateful that you've said that you'll come and talk to us all, because even if just one person thinks, do you know what, that bloke on that video, I don't, you know, I'm sorry, Alan, but they might not want to be in your situation. And if that just makes a difference, I think, you know, we've been very successful today.
You can tell people as much as you like, not don't smoke, don't smoke. It's them themselves that have got to realise that it's going to kill them, and they've got to do it. All the people in the world, I mean, my dad used to say to me, you want to give over smoking? And this was after he gave over. And I didn't realise, it's just come to my mind that my mother died when I was 17. She was a smoker. All the time I knew her, she suffered from a thing called bronchitis. And as a kid, I can remember when she got poorly with the bronchitis, she used to get short of breath. And she used to say to me, oh, Alan, I'm dying. Oh, Alan, I'm dying. Because when you get short of breath, that's what you feel like. And of course, in those days, it wasn't associated like it is today with smoke. And she died overnight in bed. She died of coronary thrombosis due to arterial cirrhosis and chronic bronchitis. Not emphysema or anything like that, but it was smoking that killed her.
Yeah.
And she died when I was 17, but it's only since then that I've realised that it was the cigarettes.
Yeah.
And also her lifestyle, because she was brought up in Yorkshire in a place called Swinton, where they were doing distilling tar and coal mining area. So she had a bad start in life anyway.
Yeah.
She died 40 odd years old.
Yeah, it's not a good innings, is it, Alan?
No.
Just one last thing that you've just reminded me of, that people think when you're saying breathless, it's like you've run for a bus and you're not used to running and you're breathless. Just before we go, Alan, will you just describe what breathless means to you?
Breathless means to me is being incapable of doing anything, only concentrating on trying to get my breath. But it's also a downward spiral, because you start to worry that I'm going to get it back. And I found out the best thing that could happen to me when I get short of breath is a distraction. Somebody like Gaynor to come in and say, hey, how are you doing? And you're distracted because, don't matter, you know, I'm saying Gaynor because Gaynor's there, but some kind of distraction that takes your mind off your breathing. Because you will get your breath back if you stop what you're doing, because, and as I say, if you can get a distraction, but you can't do that on your own. No. It's difficult to say. It's like people say to you, oh, don't worry. You know, when people say to you, don't worry. You can't just stop worrying just like that.
No, absolutely. So other people have described that to me like you're breathless because you've run for a bus, but also there's someone sat on your chest.
Yes, and you can't, and you're worried you're not going to get your breath back.
No.
You see, when you're healthy, you know you're going to get your breath back. When I started college, although I'd started to smoke at the same time, I used to dread Monday mornings because we used to go cross-country running around Withenshaw Park. Well, that was a fair old run first thing on a Monday morning. But I mean, we used to get breathless. But of course, you got breathless on your way back, and within about 5 or 10 minutes, you're back to normal again.
Yeah.
COPD, you're not.
No.
You start to worry that you're going to end up in hospital. You're going to end up, the ambulance is going to come, and all these things, and all this anxiety, and all this worry. just as a downward spiral, and you go worse and worse and worse. So the best thing to do is for somebody to distract you, give you something else to think about.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, we've gone over time as I thought we would, but that's pretty normal for me, I think. I'm quite a good talker. So we've just briefly touched on flu while we were talking as well, and the importance of getting your vaccinations and stuff. The next live session I'm going to do is with Catherine, and it's to talk about our flu clinics and how we're setting them up. And you know, that's one of the probably only trips you'll do out of the house, isn't it, Alan, to come and have your flu jab?
Yes, I've only been out of the house 3 times since the beginning of February. Once to the hospital, twice to the doctors.
Yeah. So we'll look forward to seeing you in person then, Alan, when we give you a flu vaccination. And thank you to all the people who we've got quite a few watchers, but I'm just checking, some waves, some smiles. So Kath sent us a smile and a wave, and so Charlotte, and you know, Kath Pierce is on. So lots of people on, no questions, but I think we can probably promise that if they want to send a private message to the Facebook page, or they want to email the practice, or however you want to get in touch with us, we're here to support you. And I think I can say that for you as well, Alan, if anyone wanted to talk about
they can talk to me on the practice Facebook page.
Fabulous. So thank you both for spending the time with us today, and thank you everyone that's been watching, and we hope we've inspired at least one of you to think today is the last day you'll have a cigarette.
Yeah, even if you'll just look at my ugly mug now and think he's not with us much longer because he smoked himself to death.
Oh, Alan.
It's true.
Well, we hope you're here a bit longer, Alan, that's for sure.
Definitely.
It's not the length of life, it's the quality of it that matters.
We all care a lot about you. All right, you take care. See you soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye.